Hello, hello, my green skins, and this is another video in Barbarian Month. And what are we doing today, Shining God?
The Beastmaster. I have just finished that not 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, and that's the best time to do it. We try to do these things as live as humanly possible. I watched it about a couple hours ago. We kind of had to watch them different. Usually we try to watch them together, but today it was all over the place. Um, and what did you think of the Beastmaster?
I
What's
th-
your rough idea?
well, on this first viewing, I thought it was a very entertaining movie. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
The story, yeah, it's simple. I'll just end it there before we get to story territory. But overall, it was an enjoyable movie, and I think that of all the movies we've watched this month, I think this is by far the best, or at least
Well,
the most
this is
entertaining.
this is actually the reason I really do like this movie. And this is the reason, like, honestly, out of all the movies we've done, we might unfortunately, due to the fact that we kind of missed out on one, we might miss out on Dragon Slayer, but that's no big deal. We'll move it on to something else.
Yeah.
It it is a very good movie, and I would say it's very close to being almost one of the best, and I would say one of the not only one of the best action movies out there. I like maybe in the top 20. I would say it's one of the best fantasy movies out there. It's at least within the top five. And Bill, and I would actually go as far as saying this beats out. This might be on the bottom run of the top five best fantasy movies. But out of my favorite movies of fantasy, this beats out Lord of the Rings. Like every Lord of the Rings thing, this beats it out because this is way more entertaining
Dude, don't get
and
me
way
started on
more.
Lord of the Rings. I went to see The Hobbit, and before anyone says no, no, it's not as good. It feels the same. Okay, I can't sit through a 3.5 hour movie. I mean, this is the first
We
time
are we
ever.
are
I'll just make this
yeah.
point before we derail. I've never wanted.
uh,
I've for most movies, I never wanted to leave the theater to stretch my legs. I mean, I was with my friends. I couldn't have walked out of the movie, but oh my god, with The Hobbit, and I feel like this is the same I would have done with Lord of the Rings. I needed to walk, stretch my legs, and I didn't care what I missed. I didn't give
you
two
know
shits, and I don't feel like I missed anything. I felt like I was back on track.
yeah, that's that. We're gonna get to the Lord of the Rings actually as our Twitch as my War Chief Reviews Twitch channel finally takes off, and we're finally gonna do this as a actual and start putting more videos out on that chat on that little box. We're creating something called Overrated,
Oh yeah,
and
oh
that's
yeah. One more thing,
you know
Beastmaster. Unlike Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings, you should be ashamed for this. There are no boobies in Lord of the Rings. This has boobies. So, yeah, three and a half
you hear my
boobless
down dark.
hours, 3.5
Yeah,
boobless
yeah,
hours of Lord of the Rings.
yeah,
Beastmaster gave
yeah.
me boobies.
Yeah. See, you gotta give my man boobies. He wants his boobs.
Yep.
So let's actually break this down. But I'll kind of get to my point here. Like I said, with Conan, I would actually say that this is about as one of the best. It's up there in the top five. I would say Conan being almost the top of the tier. Very well done. Now let's kind of go through this thing. What did you think of the music for this one?
Standard, nothing different from the other movies. But
I would
I think that,
disagree. Okay, go ahead. But go ahead.
how do I put this? It did give the music more time to shine. It it
Mhm.
it didn't. It wasn't just there for things to happen. It actually allowed the music to play, and I did actually pay attention. I didn't think it was anything great, but at least it there was some sort of noticeable melody going on there. Whereas the other movies, I feel like the the music was just there to be to just to back up the scene. It didn't have take on a presence of its own like with this movie.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I agree with you there. It is actually very. It has a very good series. Actually, very. I don't know. I disagree and agree. I actually think that this actually did have a very good momentum movie, a movie music, and it's memorable. But it's also one of those things where you will forget it. It's not like it's not like some other movies out there where you don't forget the music. And we're coming up to one of the better, or the last movie. We're coming up to one of the most memorable fantasy movies of all music of all time. It had its moments. Now, what did you think about the act? Well, are we going to go to? Do you want to go to acting, or do you want to go to fight choreography?
Uh, Fight
Which one do you want to do
choreography.
first?
I'll start off
Okay,
with
go
that.
for it.
There are some
Okay, let's go for it.
scenes where the fighting was a little underwhelming, and they tried to use editing to hide it. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm gonna do this again. I still prefer the way it was done here. I There's something more believable about actors struggling and failing to do the choreography than something that is just so choreographed that it feels like a dance. And I think it's a shame that something like this, like modern movies, are supposed to have better choreography than something from 1982, but they're not better. It's too polished, too choreographed, too clean, and too calculated. So it's I feel like modern movies, they fail in that. So here, at least, you can at least see that the actors are trying
It
and putting some
seems more
effort.
dirty, right?
It does feel
It
more
does
dirty,
seem
yeah.
more dirty. It actually that's like we're gonna get to the stunt work as well with this. We might as well do both. There are some scenes in here that are like pretty impressive fight sequences. Like there's guys on fire and they're still fighting. You got
Oh
a
yeah.
guy who actually jumps through a flaming thing on a horse,
Oh, you got you got
which
you
is
got guys falling off horses, and I just fell off a horse today. I went horse riding, and I fell off. My first falls in nine lessons, and it hurts. And I fell on sand. It really hurts. I can still feel my hip aching, but I'll be fine. I'll live. Um, thanks for asking. But
yeah.
yeah, it hurts. And to see these guys do that, I mean, if I didn't fall today, I probably wouldn't have thought much of it. But because I have, I feel like, whoa, man, these guys are able to do this and still get up, and that's their
And they
job.
take their horses down a couple times too. There's a couple times where they hit that the horse goes with them, and that's gotta be a bitch. Like there are a lot of really good scenes in it. We don't want to say too much about it. It's also the fight choreography is it does have some really hokey scene work in it, and that's a little bit problematic. So I guess we'll move to. Do you we could do acting, or do you want to go back? You want to go to special effects next? That's the next big ticket.
Acting, there's not much to say. I mean, the actors did well, but the lead girl, she had some moments of underacting, so she could have been better, but not enough to take
Well,
this movie down.
she's also insanely gorgeous. Like that actress is very attractive for like I know she's way older now, but like she was an extremely attractive woman, and that she did have that vacant stare, right? Like it felt that way too a little bit. I felt Dar was a good. I thought the main actor was a really good actor, and I thought everyone kind of you could tell people acted their hearts out in
Yeah,
this one,
yeah, yeah.
and
They did their
it,
best.
they did their best. And it's hard to do this when you're wearing nothing but a fucking piece of leather in between your legs, and like there's a lot of times where one wrong move and whoop, there goes your wardrobe, because we can't really say much about the costumes considering the fact no one had any fucking costumes.
So if you're a guy, you'll like there'll be enough boobies for you. If you're a girl, there'll be enough pecs and muscles. So it's win-win for guys and girls.
It's win-win, and it's kind of funny for that. The acting was okay. The special effects. Now, what did you think about the special effects? Then we're gonna go right to story because that's where this is. That's where this movie kind of shines and it fails. Okay, go for it.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments. I mean, two pop out of my head that were very poorly done, but other than that, I think practical effects will always beat CGI. So
Oh
I enjoyed
yeah,
it.
it really had beautiful practical effects, and they had to work with animals too. And there are some moments where it's not good. Like they do have a couple CG moments. We're not
Yeah,
going to talk
yeah,
about it.
yeah. That's another thing about this movie. A lot of actors will have won't act. How many actors can you say acted alongside a tiger and like were in the
Yeah,
same space? I mean, not even the
yeah,
Jungle Book from the '90s. You could tell they green screened uh, the animals
yeah,
with the lead actor, but this no, you could. The guy was actually
yeah.
interacting with the
He's
tiger.
petting. He's petting the tiger. The tiger's running with him.
Is it a tiger?
They're
What
not.
is it? I wasn't sure what it was.
That was a black tiger. That was a black tiger.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's running with the tiger, and there's a lot of scenes of him just out there running with that wild animal. And that's got to be scary. And like, there's a lot of scenes here where you're like, what the fuck? There is a fucking scene where they throw a kid down a fucking in a fire pit, and we're not 100% sure if they actually kind of threw her close to that fire pit. This is definitely a movie you'll never see get made now.
Yeah, for many reasons. And you know what's even interesting about this movie?
Oh,
And I looked at this on IMDb, and it
yeah. Mhm,
confirmed it because another video I watched also mentioned this. Despite all the violence, the
mhm.
and the boobies, this movie is rated PG.
Yeah,
Wow, what PG allowed back in the day? This is oh my god.
yeah. You got
It got away more than the most R. Okay, and that might be a bit of a stretch, but it got away with more than PG-13 movies today.
yeah, and there are a lot of There's a lot of R movies out there that we can both think of that are like, really, that's an R? That's a hard R?
Yeah,
That's not a hard R.
yeah.
Like that doesn't feel like a hard R, and it's just like, no, that's an R, and it's like, wow, okay,
This feels like an R, and it's a PG.
it is very, and it is PG. That's what makes it freaking funny as fuck. Really good movie though. For that factor, it's just like it does have that PG vibe. I like there are scenes in this movie. I'm not to spoil something. They actually kick a freaking they murder a bunch of priests in
Yeah,
one scene, which is kind of amusing. Just the way the characters do it too is absolutely fucking brutal.
there are scenes where people are are impaled. Like hanging off of these wooden pointy.
Well,
What are they
yeah,
called?
yeah, but that felt fake. That did feel fake, and that's like I said, the special effects were hit and miss. But no, there are some really gory scenes in this, and that's the thing about this. We're not 100% sure. Maybe this would have had an R rating. You heard about a weird sex scene on it that you're talking about earlier. What was that about?
I don't know. It's like you go on IMDb. It talks about that there are certain scenes in the movie which
Yeah,
I did not come across at all.
yeah. I didn't come across it myself when we watched it, so it's like, yeah. So I'm not sure if we got the Blu-ray version, so we're pretty certain we got a complete version. I don't ever remember. I watched this on TV a lot. So they censor shit like you wouldn't believe. But
And
no, it
my source
if
is from a Blu-ray, so it's gotta have
yeah,
everything in there.
yeah. So we're thinking that it's not that. Now, what did you think of the story as a whole?
Uh, Very simple. It's a revenge story and about a guy who can communicate with animals, and they aid him with it on his quest. That's basically it.
I would actually disagree. I believe it's actually
Well,
a good
that's with
hero.
well that's without getting into spoilers. That's a
Yeah,
very simplified
no,
version.
no, no. But I think it's a very solid hero's tale. It
Yeah,
actually is a great journey, a great hero's tale, and it has a lot it has a lot to it. Uh, it has a lot of meat to it, but the problem is that it's also very disjointed. I don't know if you felt that way, but there's a lot of scenes in here where you're like, well, where's he go?
where are
Why'd
they
he end
going
up?
with this?
Yeah. There's a lot of scenes where are you going with this? There's some cool moments though. I still think one of the coolest fucking moments in this movie is the ending, and I don't really want to say too much about the ending, but like but the big battle scene, there's a real fucking awesome moment. But it's just kind of interesting. There's even the ending. Like you feel like you feel like there's almost like a false ending, and it really is. It's a weird ass movie when it comes to that. It's all over the place. It's that's my biggest problem with this movie is it's all over the place, right? It's just it's like a little bit of A, a little bit of B. It's also it's over here. Then he does this. Then he does that. Then he's like running around training like an idiot, and it's weird. It has its moments, but it's overall a solid movie. So what are you going to give this one, Shining God?
I'm giving it a 6 boobies.
I'm giving it actually a little bit higher of a rating. I'm actually going to give it an. It's better than Lord of the Rings 8.
Hmm. Okay. Well, I don't. I thought 8 is too much, but you can't have 7 boobies.
Well, I know, but eight. I think 8 because this was actually very enjoyable to watch. Like this is something you actually could watch if you and your buddies. If you're to like, it's and that's a lot of the fantasy movies we've been talking about are movies you can sit down with any of your friends and enjoy.
Yeah.
This is those movies. This is a movie you can go, hey, dude, you ever seen this? And if my friends were to sit down with a bunch of popcorn and a thing of pizza, and we could sit down and watch this, and we'd all have a good laugh, and we'd all enjoy ourselves. It's a blast, absolute blast. That's why I'm saying I'm giving it an 8. It's not perfect, but it's definitely in my top 5. Top 5 favorite fantasy movies of all time. Now, is it barbarian? How barbarian is this?
It's very barbarian. Okay, it's the most
It's
barbarian of all the films we've seen so far.
it's almost as barbarian as the next movie we're coming up to. So don't miss out on the next movie we're doing is
Well,
in
before
Barbarian Month.
before we get to
What?
that, I want to talk about one thing about the movie, and I'm going to send this to you right now so you'll know what I'm talking about. Just one moment. Okay, what do you think
Okay.
of the movie poster? I like this poster. I love how
Oh yes, this poster is bad ass.
I love the
The
painting. It's like hand drawn,
oh.
and you know, I love how non
it,
PC it is.
I'll say this right now about this poster. You just sent me the poster. Yeah, hopefully the poster's up when you guys are looking at it. All right, boys and girls. If you had a man if you had a man cave or a gal dungeon, I actually don't know what the female equivalent is. Gal dungeon works for me.
Okay.
You're putting it on your wall. That's up there. That's up there with like Romance of the Stone. That's up there with other things. That is a badass poster. I love that poster. That poster is the top tier of awesome, and it's a sweet poster.
Yeah, it is, and I might actually get it made and hang it on my wall. And
I
I
well,
love the underboob.
no. Actually, if you're gonna do the poster, the next one, I'll tell you this right now. They that the next one is the one you're gonna do. And the next movie we're doing, boys and girls, is probably the one of the most barbarian movie, Conan the Barbarian.
Well, it's gotta be. It's got barbarian in the title.
Yeah, yeah, that's our next one. It's and that's actually one of my almost top favorite. That is my top favorite fantasy movie of all time. Is that movie for many reasons. Definitely better than Lord of the Rings any time of the week.
Hell yeah, it's got Schwarzenegger for God's sake.
Yep. That's just one reason. But that is Conan if it Conan, man. That is the real Conan.
Well, what?
That is a great
Well,
movie.
let me put it this way: if anyone is not gonna watch it because Schwarzenegger is in it or they're into Schwarzenegger, I have to ask what kind of pussies they are. Yeah, I went there.
Okay, you could go there all you want, man, but I'm gonna stop it there. And we're gonna leave you here with the thought that we are watching Conan the Barbarian next. I would say this and Willow are always fighting for my attention for my number one and number two pick as the greatest fantasy movies of all time. And so we'll be leaving with this. You guys have a very very good day, night or evening, or wherever you get to watch this video. Please like, subscribe. Keep your eyes out for our Twitch channel. I'll be probably putting some stuff up once that channel's off the wall, ready to go. And you have yourselves a very good day.
Bye.